Hey guys, it's Caleb from Rokblokz. Today in the shop we have this 2017 F-450. We've got a mud flap kit install for you, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Here we have the tools laid out that you'll need for install. You'll need an insert puller or a flathead to help with the factory inserts. You'll need a 9/32 socket to help with some of the factory screws. You'll need an 1/8 inch Allen. You'll need a 4mm Allen, and then you'll also need a level. Here we have the front laid out. What you'll get in your kit is your bracket for that corner along with your flap. If you picked out a logo color, you'll get it in some vinyl strips like this, which we'll apply here in a minute. You'll get your mount plate and then the hardware. We'll go ahead and put a breakdown of that hardware on the screen right now. Now, before we head over to the vehicle, we're going to do some pre-assembly on the table right here. To do so, we're going to take our original bracket, because today we'll be installing the XL. We'll set this to the side. Now we can take our flap. We're going to flip that over. Now with our flap flipped over, we're going to take our flange nuts and we're going to press those into the hex holes in the flap. With those pressed in, we can now flip our flap back over. We can take our vinyl and we're going to take our vinyl strip, we're going to peel it up. And we're just going to center that on our flap here. Before we assemble our flap and our bracket, it is advised to use some medium strength thread locker. So now we're good to go ahead. Align our bracket with our holes, take our small screws, and we're just going to thread those in. Just going to get all four corners started. With our bracket and our flap assembled, you can go ahead, finish fully tightening those with your Allen key. Now, before we head over to the vehicle, we're going to take our mount plate. We're going to put our clips on our mount plate, just sliding it on like so. And for the XL, we're actually going to not use this second mount hole here. We're going to keep the clips separate, so that way we can go ahead and put it inside the fender to mount and use it as a nut on the back side of the fender to secure this inner mount point right here. Here we have both brackets. Here we have the original and here we have the XL. When installing them, there are some slight differences. On the original, this is the mount plate. You just go ahead and you put your clips on both points. On the XL, we're actually just going to utilize the one point, and then we're going to take this one and put it inside the fender and use it as a nut. Those are the differences on the XL to original. So now let's head to the vehicle and begin installing. So here we are at the front of the vehicle. We're going to begin by removing the factory splash guard. Ours has already been removed. Next, you'll want to remove the screw from here, or you may do that in the process of removing your factory splash guards. This is the one OEM screw that we will be reusing. It just goes into that clip right there. Now, to begin mounting our flap, we're going to go ahead, we're going to take our bracket, we're going to take that OEM screw, we're going to align it with the hole right there. Then we're going to take our 9/32 socket, get that lightly tightened down. Now we'll take our mount plate, and for those with the original, it will align with the hole right here and the hole right here. On the XL, we'll just have the one clip up here. We're going to take our button head screw, we'll put that into position, we'll align it, and now we're just going to screw into that mount plate. Screwing into that clip located on that mount plate. ahead and secure that with our 4mm Allen. Now that should be good. Now we can take our last M6 screw with washer and our clip. And we're going to place this clip on the inside here. We're going to screw up through the bottom right here. And you may have to push your liner out of the way to do this. Now we'll just go ahead and use that clip like a nut on the inside of our fender here. I'm just going to go ahead and get that snug down. On the original, that clip will be right here and it will correspond with this hole. But on the XL, it allows this portion to be trimmed out of the way for oversized tires. And so that way you have all this clearance that can be had, and then that clip will just go on the inside of the fender there. Now, with all those in place, you can get them kind of loose, do a little bit of adjusting if needed, but yeah, then you can fully tighten those down. That completes the front install. You can repeat these same steps on the other side. Now let's go ahead and jump to the rear. Here we have the rear laid out. What you'll get in your kit is your rear bracket and flap for that corner. Then you'll also get your mount plate and the hardware. We'll go ahead and put a breakdown of that hardware on the screen right now. If you chose a logo color, you'll get that in some vinyl strips, and we'll apply those to the flap before assembling the flap to the bracket. But here we have the XL and the original brackets laid down just to show the difference. You will get a flap that matches your original bracket, but today we're just going to go ahead and focus on the install of this XL. It is exactly the same as the original, so let's go ahead, we'll set that to the side. Now to begin, we're going to go ahead and take our flap. I'm going to flip that over. We're going to take our flange nuts. We're going to press each of these into the hex-shaped hole from the side without the etching. Now with those all installed, we're going to go ahead and flip our flap back over. We're going to grab our vinyl. We're going to peel our vinyl up. We're going to place that and align it on our flap right here. Centering it this way between our flange nuts, and then having it about 1/4 of an inch off of the edge right there. Now with that in place, we should be able to take our bracket, set that over top, and now we can see the color is good there. So we're going to go ahead and take our little screws. It is advised before you secure these to put a little bit of medium strength thread locker on the threads here. So I'm just going to go ahead and get these started. I'm going to start with our corners, so that way it will support the flap. Now with each of our screws installed, you can go ahead, take your 1/8 inch Allen and fully tighten those down, just aligning the flap with the edge of the bracket right here. Before we head over to the vehicle though, we're going to take our mount plate and our clips, and we're going to pre-assemble our mount plate on the bench right here. So to do so, we're going to take our clip, we're just going to slide those in like so. We're going to do it so that way the protruding point on the clip is on the smooth side without the etching. And with those all in place, we can now take our bracket, our flap, our mount plate, and our hardware to the vehicle and begin installing. Here we are at the rear of the vehicle. We're going to begin by disassembling the truck. To do so, you'll need to remove your factory mud flaps if you have them. You'll need to remove the 4 factory inserts located right here, right here, right here, and right here. You'll need either your insert pullers or a flathead. And just like the ones here, you basically just get underneath it, pry it, pop it out, and remove it. Once those are removed, you'll be where we are right now. You'll be able to lift the liner. What we're going to do next is we're going to take our backing plate. We're going to align that with all 4 of those holes behind the fender's edge here and inside the fender. The mount plate is going to sit behind all of the liner and the fender's edge. And when we get it in place, the next thing I like to do is take the long screw provided in your kit. We're going to go ahead, we're going to align our backing plate. We're kind of holding it, trying to get it aligned with the hole right here. So that way it's nice and aligned with our clip. Now we're just going to screw into that clip on our mount plate. And you'll know it's screwed in when you can't pull it out. So with that one in place, we're going to use that as our alignment pin and kind of help hold our mount plate in place. While we go ahead, we're going to grab our large flap. Now the hole here is just barely large enough to fit the head of the button head in it. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to swoop the head of the bracket onto that post. We kind of just held it there for a second. Now we're going to grab one of our other screws in the kit. All the other ones are a little bit shorter. And we're going to go all the way to the inside mounting hole. Going to align the hole right there. Now we're just going to make sure our backing plate is good and in place. And get that started by hand. With both those in place, that should support our flap and align our other 2 screw holes in the middle. Now we're just going to go ahead, take our other 2 screws, and we're going to thread those into the backing plate. This can take some work to get it on the first try, but definitely having the longer one in place first helps a lot with keeping that mounting plate from moving on you. Now we're just going to undo that screw, place our washer on it, and put it right back in there. And we'll go ahead and get all 4 of our screws snugged up. With all 4 of those screws snugged up, you can now go ahead, adjust it to your liking, checking along the bottom edge with a level. Get that set into position, and then fully lock down all 4 screws. With all 4 screws fully tightened down, that's how you complete the rear. You can repeat these same steps on the other side. Thanks for watching.